I've rated quite a few faces over the last few months alongside my friends Vaso and Eva. We've done lots of celebrities for videos and also on Patreon, link is in the description. Today, I gathered 10 key things that I've taken away by analyzing faces with them. Number 1, they are usually a bit harsher than me. There have been some instances where I was surprised by their ratings and analysis. For example, I thought that Alexander Grace was at least a 5 out of 10, but the girls rated him as a 3. Usually our difference isn't so big, we're usually within 1 point from each other, but sometimes the female gaze really surprises me. It can go both ways though, as I'd rate Michael B. Jordan as a 7, but both girls put him in the 8.5 category. And this brings us to point number 2. Some people don't want to hear the female gaze. It's one thing to be baffled or not being able to understand why a guy is seen as attractive or unattractive, it happens to me all the time, and it's another thing to outright reject women's opinion. There have been some instances where people in the comments were enraged by some comments made by the girls about their favorite pop artist, or maybe they rated higher a guy that the commenter doesn't like, etc. For example, Eva had mentioned that she likes Jason Momoa's body and a guy said, "She's capping, ain't no way she likes fat Momoa." Meanwhile, the guy has a great frame, very decent muscle mass, he's just not ripped, but his physique, even in this photo, easily mogs 90% of the population. Speaking of physiques, let's talk about number 3. Face and height are more important than muscles. This doesn't come as a surprise in the black pill circles, but it would definitely shock guys who watch people like Hamza or First Man, etc. Sure, a great physique can give you a major boost, depending on your starting point. If you are obese, getting lean alone might elevate you a lot. I've even seen guys going from 2 out of 10 to normies or even chadlites and chads, depending of course on their underlying bone structure. I've made this point before, but I'll say it again. Getting lean should be your number 1 priority, because it doesn't just improve your body, it improves your face too. But anyway, the point is that women value a man's face and height more than his physique. A guy with a decent height and a good-looking face will be seen as attractive even if he's not very muscular or ripped, but a short guy with an average face will most likely be seen as unattractive, even if he's jacked. Number 4. Looks are mostly objective, but they are a range. I had asked you this question on an old poll, and the vast majority of people already knew this. Of course, there are some guys or girls who think that looks are totally subjective, and that for example Danny DeVito may be preferred over Brad Pitt by a good chunk of women, but we already know that this is false. On the other side, some people think that looks are 100% objective and that it's like you have a number on your forehead that says 3 or 6 or whatever. This is obviously false, as I've seen plenty of times the girls having slightly different opinions. The biggest difference I've seen between them is 2 points, something that happened with Alex Turner for example, but they're usually closer. If I had a bigger team, my guess would be that the individual ratings would be like a bell curve. And I've made this point in the past, and I was misunderstood by some people quoting a study about how women view men as a whole and that they find most guys unattractive. Again, I'm talking about a man individually, not men as a whole. For example, I believe that Alex Turner would be rated around a 5 to a 7 by most women, and then a few would consider him a sub 5 or an 8+. Number 5. Upper eyelid exposure is not the end of the world. The eyes are definitely one of the most if not the most important feature of one's face, but I see many men being obsessed with having hunter eyes and 0 upper eyelid exposure. Some go as far as saying that it's over if your eyes aren't fully hooded. This clearly isn't the case. There are tons of examples of guys who don't have hooded eyes, and they're still adored by women. And it's not that they are loved despite that, they actually have a good eye area. Zayn Malik has a good eye area. Cillian Murphy has a good eye area too. Would they look better if their eyes were more hooded? Probably, but it's not a make or break point as many tend to think. Speaking of features that are blown way out of proportion, let's talk about number 6. Being 5 feet 10 inches is not the end of the world. You might think, duh, that's the average height in many countries, why would it be over, it's not like you're 5'5" or something. You can't imagine how many comments I've seen that go something like this. I'm a 5'10" manlet etc. etc. I'm not saying it's great, it's average. For what it's worth, the guy with the highest count I know is barely 5'11" with shoes. Now of course, there are going to be some girls who are super into extremely tall guys, but others prioritize the face. Eva and Vaso usually start detracting points when it comes to total looks when the guy is under 5'9", but guys who have good looking faces can still have a good dating life even if they're a bit shorter than average. Of course there's a limit where it's going to be a problem, but the whole 6 feet only thing is a myth for the most part. Again, it definitely helps to be tall, but it's not the end all be all. Number 7. Lips and mouth matter more than I thought. I had made a video named, attractive male characteristics tier list, and I had placed lips quite low. From what I'm noticing, I was wrong about this one. Yes, there are some chads with thin lips, but the mouth is more than just the thickness. Women really notice the shape of the lips, the placement of the mouth, the symmetry, all that stuff. And, number 8. The nose is also slightly more important than I had thought. I had placed the nose in B, thinking that it's definitely nice to have a good nose, but not vital. Again, I'm noticing that women think about it more than I thought. It's not just the size or having a straight nose, it's about the whole symmetry and harmony. The nose is literally in the middle of the face, so you can't miss it. And there's not just one nice type of nose, once again, it's about harmony. A guy with a masculine face and a strong jawline could look good with a slightly bigger nose, but if you place the same nose on a pretty boy, it could destroy the whole face. And this brings us to number 9. Harmony can break very easily and due to various reasons. It's better to not have striking characteristics, but having a harmonious face, rather than having blue hunter eyes, a chiseled jawline, perfect teeth but a Triple H nose which ruins everything. I think that's what we're missing when we look at guys like Michael B. Jordan. The guy has great harmony. Sure, he doesn't have a Brad Pitt jawline, but he's still very handsome. And it's not just about facial harmony, it's also about overall harmony. You might have a great face, but you may be so skinny that you look weak and fragile. Or maybe your hips are wider than your shoulders, etc. Number 10. There's the X factor. Sometimes it's sex appeal, other times it's something that can't be put into words and it's more like a quote-unquote vibe, or the gaze of a person. I know guys with hunter eyes who seem kinda lost, and guys with a negative canthal tilt who seem hypnotic instead of tired. Facial expressions are another thing. Some guys don't necessarily have bad features, but they have terrible facial expressions. I've seen guys seeming way too standoffish, sleepy, lost, angry, you name it. Of course some features contribute to it, for example positive tilted eyebrows give you a certain look, but I've seen guys who look masculine with those, while others just seem angry. And speaking of masculinity, there are limits to this. If the goal was simply to look as masculine as possible, meaning the complete opposite of what a woman looks like, we should all be bald with huge beard, body hair, etc. In reality though, there's an upper limit to masculinity in terms of external appearance. I repeat, in terms of external appearance, I'm not talking about being masculine and a leader, etc. I'm talking about looks. Of course you should look somewhat masculine. I haven't seen many girls being attracted to guys with makeup on and feminine voices, etc. It also depends on what girls you want to attract and some other factors that I've analyzed on another video. To sum up, women don't view attractiveness the same as men. Some guys might be deemed as feminine, and might even be bullied for it, and yet women love them. There was a classmate of mine who was the definition of a pretty boy. Zero facial hair, longer haircut, super smooth skin, etc. He was always in a relationship and at a time he was with one of the most attractive girls in the class. A guy had approached me and said, "How is she with him? I don't get it. No beard, no muscles, what does she see in him?" And at that time I agreed with him. I couldn't get it. Now, looking back at it, things make total sense. What are your thoughts on what we just covered? Leave your comments below and I'll see you in the next one.